Hey guys, here's 5 gymnastic skills you can do in your house while self-isolating during COVID-19!
I'm a gymnasta, I do gymnastics. Wouldn't you like to do gymnastics?
If you're feeling stiff and feel like you need a warm-up before you start, check the Airdrie Edge Gymnastics YouTube for warm-ups, linked right up there.
If you're like us and you're stuck at home right now and you can't move around at all, we want to give you the chance to be able to do at least a little bit of that inside your house right here. Moving is really good to just help make you happier. If you're feeling a little bit down right now, it's going to make everything feel in general better. You're going to be a little bit more able to work with school, to get work done, all those kind of things. You'll be able to sleep better. So let's get right into it. So the first skill that we're going to try is a headstand. Okay, Jared's going to demonstrate that right now, and then we'll explain how you can do this. Before trying the headstand, we're going to warm up your wrists just a little bit so that they're ready to take the pressure of your entire body weight on your hands and head. Okay, so first what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands and you're just going to roll them in a circle. Imagine you're holding your phone on your forearms and just roll your hands in a circle both directions without dropping that phone off of your arms. Then if you watch Jared, you'll put your hands on the ground and you'll rock back and forth with your hands facing forward and your hands facing backwards, so turn them outwards away from each other. Then you'll put your hands together like this and roll in a circle. You'll do that both directions. And then finally you flip your hands over and you'll put the weight, and you'll put your backs of your hands on the ground. So the first thing that you're going to need to learn how to do is a tripod stand. So what you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to draw a triangle on the ground. Okay? Now the reason we drew a triangle is your head is going to go at the very top of the triangle, so right where your hands were. Now before he goes up, he's going to sit up for a second. When you do this, you need to make sure that your head is straight forward, so when the ground is pushing on it, it pushes straight through your spine. If your head is bent down and it's pushing on the back of your head, or if your head is forward and your forehead is on the ground, those are both going to hurt your neck. So make sure, he's going to draw the triangle again, and make sure that your head is straight down and that your elbows are stuck up into the air right over top of your hands. So your head, the back of your head will be right against the wall and you'll still draw that triangle. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put one knee up on one of the elbows, and once you've got that balanced, then you're going to put the other knee up on your elbows. Now right now, Jared isn't able to balance unless he tips his butt a bit farther forward, so this is the moment when you're going to have to tip your butt just a little bit further and then take your legs up. Otherwise you will fall down over and over. Next up, you guys are going to lift your legs all the way up. They're just going to slide up the wall, so you start by putting your bum against the wall after your knees are up, and then you'll just straighten your legs up above you. Try and keep them pretty close together. If you let them tip to one side or the other, you will fall over to that one side. At this point, if you want to move away from the wall, feel free. You don't need to, but you can. You can use your fingers to hold you in. You can do a tuck press to headstand. You can do a pike press to headstand, which your legs start out in front, or you can do a straddle press to headstand. You can do them either the way Jared just did, or you can start with your feet on the ground and press straight up from there, just for a bit more of a challenge. This would be the straddle. Ooh, that was good. Next, we're going to learn a tuck, pike, and straddle jump. Before we do that though, you just need to know how to jump and land in general. So first, I'm going to hold the cat and Jared's going to show you how to do this. So what you want to do is turn sideways. So you're going to bend your knees at about 90 degrees, and you're going to put your arms behind you, and then you're going to swing up into the air, careful not to punch the ceiling as you do this, as you jump up, just like that. When you land, you're going to want it to look like this. So you're going to put your hands out in front of you, you're going to squat down until your bum is at the same height as your knees. And you're going to make sure to arch your back so that you don't have the old man or old lady landing. Like that. This is how we're going to land for everything. Can you face forward for a second? Oh, yes, good. Thank you. If you look at Jared's legs right now, they are as wide as his shoulders, and his knees are right over top of his feet. They're not pushing inwards, which we don't want. Now, before we try the actual jumps, now that you've tried jumping at all, we're going to try the positions on the ground, just so that you've actually done them somewhere other than leaping through the air. So the first one is going to be tuck. Jared's going to turn sideways so you can see that a little bit better. You're going to want to pull your knees right in close to your butt. You're going to curl your back and tuck your chin in, just in between your knees though, so there's space for your face, and you're going to grab each knee with one hand. Can you turn forward to show that now? Just like this. Okay, next position is pike. You're going to have your legs straight out in front of you. You're You're going to try and curl forwards, keep your toes pointed, and if you can, grab under your shins or under your toes. If not, just try grabbing some part of your leg because you're going to be doing that midair as you're jumping. Last is straddle. Last is straddle. You want both hands out to the sides. You want to have your knees pressed down to the floor so your legs are nice and straight. And you're going to want to be reaching your body forwards instead of sitting up totally straight for this jump. If you're as tall as Jared is, he can hit the ceiling if he does a full swing. So he's only going to swing his arms about halfway. But if you want an extra challenge and you've got lots of room, go ahead and jump as high as you can. We're going to start with not touching your legs, just trying to fold slightly into the positions, especially if you haven't done these before. There's tuck jump. Next will be pike jump. This one's the hardest. And last is straddle jump. I'm going to move the cat. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Okay. After that, if you're finding that pretty easy, you can then jump probably a little bit higher so you got some more time, and this time you'll actually grab hands in front for the tuck jump, hands under your legs for the pike jump if you can, and hands at least on top of your legs and hopefully underneath for your straddle jump. Every time that you land, make sure to show those landings we just talked about. This is how you'll be able to absorb this. You'll be able to take more turns and try more of these things, as well as it'll teach you just better technique in general to keep your body safe every time you land these jumps. All right, next up, you're going to be learning a forward roll or a forward somersault, I've also heard it called. If you're as tall as we are, make sure you've got probably more room than that. All right, first thing you're going to learn is what we call a rock and roll. So you're going to sit down in the tuck position that you just learned. Grab your knees, hold on, keep your chin tucked in. You're just going to roll back until you feel the back of your head just kind of brush the floor and come back up. If you're on a linoleum or hardwood floors or something like that, you can always throw down just a little blanket behind your head, and we will use that more for the roll itself later on. Just like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you guys know all the positions you want to be in this roll before we actually try it. First of all, you're going to practice standing up as straight as you can. Notice that when Jared does this, there's only a very small arch in his back and his ribs are pushed in. So he's a nice, strong, straight line. His arms are by his ears and everything is nice and tall and straight. We want to practice this because eventually when we learn front flips, we want to be able to take off like this. So we practice them now in forward rolls that are a little bit easier to learn. Next, you want to squat down because this is how we're going to start the roll. You want to be ready to push from here with strong legs and duck your head out of the way. So just make sure that you've squatted down like Jared's doing, and then practice just lifting your bum over your head and tucking your chin in as you go. You're not actually going to roll yet though. Make sure when you're practicing this that your knees are wide enough that your head can go a little bit between them. You're not going to shove your head in between your legs, but you don't want to knee yourself in the face as you go over here. So keep your legs a little bit wide. Easiest way to make this a little bit easier on yourself is to make a line of pillows, almost like a pillow beam. And if you're tall enough, you can put your hands on either side of them, or you can just put your hands right on top. Just makes it a bit nicer. If you're on a hardwood floor, we definitely suggest this. Otherwise, you will feel every single bone in your spine press into the floor. It's not going to kill you, but it doesn't feel great. So when we push for this roll, you're going to want to make sure to push your bum over first, and then make sure to bend your arms so your head is lowered to the floor. When you try again, you're going to try grabbing your knees as you're on your back, and that'll help you sit up so you can stand up hopefully without using your feet. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see this one. Now to make it just a little bit more difficult, you'll put down just a blanket on the line to follow along so it's still just a little bit soft, and then you'll go ahead and try the same thing again. Again, make sure to tuck your chin all the way into your chest so you get your head out of the way and you push right over it. Your head should be out of the way. You should only feel the ground on the back of your head. It shouldn't be on the top. Finally, go ahead and move on to the regular floor. If you have carpet, go ahead and just do it. Otherwise, keep the blanket down if you're on hardwood floors, unless you'd like to try them, which you can, but it's not going to be very comfortable. So feel free to just stick with the blanket on the floor if all you have is those hardwood floors to work with. All right, now we're going to do our best on this one. We are both very tall and the ceiling down here is very low. So you'll be totally allowed to do these with your arms up, and you should learn them with your arms up. We're going to be mostly demonstrating the further on ones with our arms down. Okay, first, we're going to show you half turn and full turn, and then we'll teach you how to do them. Make sure to add your landing that we taught you earlier at the end. So the first thing you're going to need to learn is how to jump with both your arms down and your arms up. since we've already practiced swinging, we're now going to get rid of that. As much as possible, we don't want to swing into these twists because that's where you'll start tipping sideways or forwards or backwards and not being able to land them. Okay, so first of all, watch Jared. He's going to turn sideways. He's going to do the same action we did before, but with no arm swing. It's just going to be arms down, and he's just going to jump and push through your toes. So you're going to try that, and you're going to try the same thing with your arms up, which Jared is now going to demonstrate and probably punch the ceiling. There we go. Cool. With his elbows. Nice. Perfect. So just make sure when you're trying this that you feel the jump go all the way through straight up, and there's no bend or flex as you push. I didn't mean you had to do it. Now that you've tried jumping and turning with arms up and arms down, just figure out which one you like better. Everybody's different. They're both useful in their own way. But now what you're going to try is you're going to try just doing quarter twist both directions. Still practice those landings every time. It will be more and more important as we try bigger and bigger skills. Now we're going to try the half turn and full turn. The important part here with twist is to lead the twist with your eyes. What I mean by that is, as I'm taking off, I'm looking towards you guys, and as I jump, I am looking for you again. Or if I'm doing my half turn, I'm looking away, and as I jump, I'm looking for you as I'm landing. So hopefully I can see you before I land and it's easier for me to stick. And then you can try full turn, also both directions. Here, as we start to add more twist, be careful of starting to twist with your arms and upper body. When we do any type of twisting off of the ground here, we want to use our feet. Otherwise it'll look like that. You're going to use your toes to push up and through your head as you twist. You don't want to use your upper body to twist off to one side. We're going to try and make sure it comes through your feet. That'll make sure you stay nice and upright. As a final challenge, by now you probably figured out which way you like twisting to better. If you like both, that's fine, but everybody has one that they are at least slightly better at. Then what you can try is you can try going further. So you can try full and a half, double full. For these, it's probably smarter to not have a ton of furniture around because you will fall over sometimes for these. And make sure you're careful of not winding up and launching off one direction. You can wind up a little bit more, especially for these coming up. You might have to do it a little bit with your arms, but especially be careful of this. If you're going arms up, careful of this wind up into it, or you will knock yourself over a bunch. If you're going to do arms up, mostly we suggest just starting like this. So for the fastest ones, it's a little bit easier to do with arms down and jump and wrap and pull in. Your head was like this close. If you haven't already, make sure to warm up your wrists if you didn't already do it for the headstands, because it's going to be much more important coming up right now. Next, we're going to try a handstand. Okay, Jared is going to do it with flexed feet, because as I told you guys before, we can hit the ceiling otherwise. So make sure when you're doing yours that your toes are nice and pointy, but Jared's will be flexed right now as he demonstrates, just so that he doesn't fall all the way over. So the first thing we're going to work on is you're going to have somebody come up to you, so either one of your siblings, one of your family members, somebody in the house, and you're going to stand straight up with your arms above your head, and whoever that person is going to push down on your body and try and make sure that everything stays tight. Jared's going to go down on his knees because, again, I can't reach right now and we're going to hit the ceiling. But the important thing is, if you can turn sideways, we're looking for, first of all, straight arms as I push down. So we want to push all the way through this line and lift with our shoulders. Not with our bones, but with the muscles in our shoulders, forearms, our upper arms here. What we're also looking for, though, is, go ahead and arch. We're trying to make sure that we get rid of this line of arch. So we want to push our ribs in, and we want to look at our hands through our eyebrows. We don't want this, because this will ruin the line and make it really hard to be tight. So instead, you look through your eyebrows, and then you're going to practice holding nice and strong as they push down on you. Next up, we're going to try the beginnings of a handstand. We're going to do it piked first. If you remember Pike from earlier, that's the one we have our legs straight. So Jared's going to walk his feet up to the wall, but only half of the way. Now again, right now he's practicing looking at the ground through his eyebrows, not arching his head out, and making sure that he's this nice straight line and flexing those arms. This is where you train that nice line that we'll use later on for the full handstand. Now we're going to try lifting one foot off at a time and hit that full extension. So that nice straight line. Again, Jared will do it with flexed feet, otherwise he'll hit the ceiling. Make sure you're still looking at the ground through your eyebrows, you're pushing through your shoulders nice and strong. One foot at a time, and then you walk them back down whenever you get tired. Now, before we move on from that piked handstand, we are going to practice the bails that you're going to use if you do fall down. So we're going to go down the side. You're going to drop your feet down the side and turn on the ground just a little bit so that your belly button's still facing the ground and nobody lands on their head. So you're up in your piked handstand, you pick one side and you kick your feet off just a little bit and you drop down to that side. Okay, it does not have to be super graceful. What you do want to practice right now is exactly what Jared just did, where he put his feet down first. Okay, your feet are the things that are going to protect you here, not your knees. You don't want to land heavily on your knees no matter what you're on, even if it's carpet. Next up, we're going to walk up into about 15 degrees under a full handstand. So now you're going to start straightening your body a bit more. It's not going to be that full pike. We're going to open up a little bit more. And right about here is as close as you want to get for this version. Once you've practiced holding that straight line, you're going to practice dropping your feet down to the side again to practice when you come down. Next up, we're going to try what we call donkey kicks. You're going to put both hands on the ground. It's going to look actually quite a lot like the forward roll, except that your arms are going to be nice and straight. And you're going to kick your legs up behind you into your butt just a few times. You do not need to go very upside down here. This is to train you to drop back down onto your feet to make sure that we don't have you practicing slamming down onto your knees. Make sure that your head doesn't look like that. Make sure you're still in line with your arms, but you're looking at the ground through your eyebrows the whole time. You want to see what you're going on to. Next up, we're going to try what we call a teeter-totter. A very, very small handstand. Your legs are going to stay 90 degrees apart like this the whole time, and you're only going to kick about 45 degrees all the way up. You're going to try that on both feet because everybody likes one foot better than the other, so you're just going to test it to see which one is better for you. Then what you're going to do is what Jared already started doing a little bit. You're going to start scissoring your legs together, but you're always going to come back down onto the same foot. So if you kick up with your right foot forward, you're going to come back down onto that right foot again. So here we go, kicks up, snips, and then comes back down. By this point, you've probably figured out your favorite foot, so you can stick with that one. This is the last thing we're going to try before we go to our final step. Before we get there, review with somebody your full line that we practiced earlier. I'm actually going to stand on the stairs here so Jared gets a little bit more of that full line feel. So he's making sure that his arms are in line. He's looking at his hands through his eyebrows. His ribs are pushed in so he's that nice straight line and everything is nice and tight. His muscles are holding in, not his bones. Now we're going to combine our two things. You can step in front of me because you're going to kick this way, back against the wall. The handstand. If you're a little bit worried about how stable the wall is, you can also just put on a toque and some fuzzy socks or even like a full snowsuit, and that'll soften everything up just a little bit more. You can also put a little bit of clothing on the ground. It will make it a bit more slippery, but it might make the whole thing a little bit easier, especially if you have hardwood floors. Excellent. We're good to go. So now what you're going to do is you're going to combine that teeter-totter with those scissor snips with that perfect straight line we did, and you're just going to try and get up just high enough that you manage to bump your heels against the wall. And here you can practice this line. Jared's hands are about 2 or 3 inches away from the wall. If you go any closer than that, you'll never actually be able to get fully upside down, so you don't want them to be perfectly touching the wall. Now, this is the last step of learning the handstand here. This is much further along than most of you will get, especially on the first time watching this, and that is totally fine. These are the full drills for every single skill that you can get to the highest level of it, but you do not have to get to them today. Thanks a lot for watching this, you guys. If you're looking for some stretching and conditioning to finish off this little workout, you can go to the same YouTube channel that we linked earlier from our gym, and that'll have just a place to finish this off, help you get more flexible if you're needing that, or a little bit stronger if you're having trouble with some of the skills. And
if you're looking for more skills to learn, tune in next week for 5 parkour skills you can learn in the house.
yeah.
See you next time.